Folks, I've got some news you don't want to hear. FEMA is now sounding the alarm about something far more pervasive: widespread food shortages by 2025. That's right, 2 years from now, your trip to the grocery store might resemble a scene from a Mad Max movie. Today's video will cover FEMA's alarming predictions for food shortages in 2025, and let me tell you, it's not pretty. We'll be delving into the perfect storm of factors contributing to this impending crisis, from climate change and geopolitical instability to human incompetence. Because, folks, this isn't just about missing out on your favorite brand of mayonnaise. This is about potential societal unrest, economic turmoil, and a whole lot of hangry neighbors. Fellow Americans, our reliance on wheat products places us in a vulnerable position as we approach 2025. Climate change is wreaking havoc on wheat production with droughts, floods, and extreme temperatures decimating harvests. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, a major global wheat exporter, has thrown the global supply chain into disarray. Soaring fertilizer prices are adding fuel to the fire, making it increasingly difficult for farmers to stay afloat. It's basic economics, folks. When the cost of production goes up, something's got to give, and in this case, it's our access to affordable bread. Now, you might be thinking, John, you're being a bit dramatic. We're Americans. We're resourceful. We'll figure it out. But hoping for the best while ignoring the very real possibility of a wheatless future is not a strategy. It's delusion. We need to start thinking about alternative sources of carbohydrates, diversifying our diets, and supporting sustainable agricultural practices. Because if we don't, that loaf of sourdough bread you take for granted might soon become a luxury item. It's time to prepare for a future where bread isn't a given. Corn and corn-based products integral to the American diet are facing significant risks of shortage as we approach 2025. The geopolitical upheaval in Ukraine has severely disrupted corn production and exports, leaving a gaping hole in the global supply chain. Climate change, with its penchant for extreme weather events, is further exacerbating the situation. Droughts, floods, and heat waves are wreaking havoc on cornfields across the United States and beyond. The insatiable demand for corn ethanol, a biofuel touted as a greener alternative to gasoline, diverts a significant portion of the corn crop away from food production. Now you might be thinking, John, this all sounds terribly gloomy. Surely there's some good news. The reality is we're facing a potential corn crisis, and the implications are far-reaching. Corn isn't just something you slap on the grill during a summer barbecue. It's a staple ingredient in countless processed foods. It's even used in livestock feed, so a shortage of corn ripples through the entire food chain, driving up the cost of meat, poultry, and dairy products. It's like a game of dominoes, folks, and the first domino has already fallen. Folks, sunflower oil is a staple in many kitchens, known for its versatility and health benefits. However, as we look towards 2025, we are likely to face significant shortages of this essential cooking oil. The primary culprit? The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the world's largest exporter of sunflower oil. The war has thrown the global supply chain into chaos, with blockaded ports and disrupted logistics creating a bottleneck. Climate change, with its penchant for extreme weather events, is adding insult to injury. Droughts and heat waves are scorching sunflower crops across the globe, further diminishing yields and driving up prices. Now, you might be thinking, John, can't we just switch to another oil? What about olive oil or coconut oil? Olive oil production is concentrated in a handful of Mediterranean countries, making it susceptible to regional instability and price fluctuations. Coconut oil is primarily sourced from Southeast Asia, a region grappling with its own set of environmental and geopolitical challenges. Rice when a staple becomes scarce. This staple food for billions worldwide, including many Americans, is facing unprecedented challenges. Climate change, economic instability, and geopolitical tensions are converging to threaten the global rice supply. The increasingly unpredictable weather patterns are wreaking havoc on rice production. The escalating cost of fertilizers and other agricultural inputs is making it increasingly difficult for farmers to break even. Some major rice-producing nations are resorting to protectionist measures, limiting or banning rice exports to safeguard their own populations. In this high-stakes game of food security, there are no winners, only losers. Canned vegetables, from pantry staple to precious commodity. Canned vegetables are a staple in many households, providing a convenient and long-lasting source of nutrition. However, as we approach 2025, we are likely to face significant shortages of these essential items. The rising cost of aluminum, the primary material used to make cans, is a major factor. Global demand for aluminum is soaring, driven by the booming construction and automotive industries. Adding to the pressure is the rising cost of transportation and logistics. The cost of shipping goods across oceans and continents has skyrocketed, and these increased costs are being passed down the supply chain. It's like playing a never-ending game of hot potato, but instead of a potato, it's a can of corn. Meat and poultry. The price of protein on the rise. The supply chain for these essential protein sources is under significant stress due to a combination of economic instability, rising production costs, and logistical challenges. Rising feed costs are a major issue, with the prices of corn and soybeans, key ingredients in livestock feed, through the roof. This means that farmers are paying more to raise their animals, and those increased costs are inevitably passed down to consumers. Labor shortages and processing plant closures are adding further pressure to the system. The meatpacking industry has been hit hard by the pandemic, with outbreaks forcing plant closures and disrupting production. It's like trying to run a marathon with a sprained ankle. You might be able to hobble along for a while, but you're not going to win any races. Dairy products, the end of milk and honey. As we brace for 2025, dairy products such as milk, cheese, and butter are poised to almost vanish from grocery store shelves. The situation is dire, driven by a confluence of economic turmoil, severe supply chain disruptions, and escalating production costs. The cost of feeding dairy cows has skyrocketed thanks to the soaring prices of corn and soybeans. Adding to their woes are the rising costs of labor, transportation, and packaging. From the farmhands milking the cows to the truck drivers transporting the milk to the factory workers packaging the cheese, every step of the dairy supply chain has been impacted. It's like trying to orchestrate a symphony orchestra where every musician demands a raise and refuses to carpool. The music might be beautiful, but the cost will be astronomical. Sugar, the bittersweet reality of a vanishing commodity. The availability of sugar is set to plummet drastically by 2025, with projections indicating that it could nearly vanish from grocery store shelves. The global sugar supply chain is under immense strain, driven by severe economic instability, geopolitical tensions, and escalating production costs. The cost of cultivating sugarcane, a notoriously labor-intensive crop, has skyrocketed due to labor shortages and rising input costs. Adding to the sweetness deficit is the increasing demand for ethanol, a biofuel often derived from sugarcane and corn. As governments worldwide push for greener energy alternatives, the demand for ethanol is putting additional strain on the already limited supply of sugarcane. It's like trying to satisfy your sweet tooth and quench your thirst from the same shrinking puddle of juice. Outro: navigating the food shortage, a call to action. Folks, this situation is serious, and the time to prepare is now. We've just walked through a minefield of potential food shortages, and the picture isn't pretty. But panicking and hoarding toilet paper like it's 2020 won't solve anything. Instead, let's focus on what we can control. Here are some recommendations from FEMA to help you get ready for these alarming food shortages. Stock up on essentials. Start purchasing non-perishable items like canned goods, dried beans, rice, and pasta now. Diversify your diet. Begin incorporating a wider variety of foods into your diet now. Grow your own food. If possible, start a home garden. Learn preservation techniques. Educate yourself on food preservation methods such as canning, freezing, and dehydrating. Support local farmers. Buy from local farms and farmers markets. Build a community network. Connect with neighbors and local community groups to share resources and information. Monitor your consumption. Be mindful of your food consumption. Reduce waste and make the most of what you have. Prepare financially. As prices are expected to rise, budgeting and setting aside funds for essential food items can help manage the financial strain. Thank you for watching.